Muy buenas gente y bienvenidos al directo hoy. Nos vamos con un estreno con el Train Sim World 6 a disfrutar de las rutas. Betardes Miguel ETI.
Muy buenas a todos, ya estamos aquí en un nuevo directo y bienvenidos al directo. Hoy nos vamos con el estreno de Transit World 6, vamos con un estreno en el capítulo 1, vamos a estrenar este gran simulador, vamos a disfrutar de las vistas, a disfrutar de los trenes, de todo un poco. Y vamos a hacer rutitas. Vamos a hacer primero los tutoriales para aprender, para que aprendáis vosotros también. Y vamos a disfrutar de este gran simulador. Y antes de comenzar, pues, ¿qué tenéis que hacer? Pues suscribiros, darle a la campanita para que lleguen las notificaciones y darle buen like, darle a la manita para arriba y disfrutar de este gran simulador. Vamos a empezar, vamos a disfrutar. Vamos a pasar un buen rato, a pasar una tarde de trenes, a hacer rutillas. Vamos a hacer las distintas
Buenas tardes Miguel ETI.
rutillas. Muy buenas tardes, Blay, muy buenas tardes, Robbie. Vamos a comenzar. Vamos a hacer las distintas cositas, que tengo muchísimas. Vamos a aprender un poquito de todo. Vamos a por la primera. Vamos allá. Venga, comenzamos el módulo. Vamos a prestar un poquito de atención a lo que nos dicen.
Embarking on a new career is always exciting. Today you're joining the list of people who work on the railways, keeping the world's people and cargo running smoothly. There's a lot to
Vale,
learn, but
hay
you'll be
mucho que
taking it
aprender,
step by
pero lo
step.
haremos paso a paso. Vale,
Let's
me está
start by looking
diciendo
around. Find each of the markers
que mire
and
para
locate
arriba,
them.
que mire para abajo, que mire para la izquierda, que mire para la derecha. Eje vertical, no lo queremos. Vale.
Before you get to the trains, take a quick tour of the facility here and learn the basics of moving around on foot.
Vale, ahora tengo que caminar con el joystick izquierdo hacia donde me indica. Venga, vamos a hacerlo.
Your current objective is shown in the top left of the screen.
Vamos a un poquito, a ver, un poquito todo.
You've just been awarded some action points. These are displayed in the top right corner of the screen and count towards your overall experience level for the game.
Bienvenidos a las
This is one of
dos.
the many route tasks you can discover. Keep an eye out for other tasks that will ask you to place, collect or fix a variety of things.
Vale, me está
Head
diciendo
into
que
the main
que
building to
pase por
continue
aquí.
your induction.
Vale, me está diciendo
Walk
que vaya
over to
hasta
the
aquí.
wait.
Y me está diciendo que me siente en el sofá. Venga, a sentarse.
You can pause at any point to review objectives and a lot of other information about what's happening at the moment. Try it now and then return to the game after you've had a look round.
Me está diciendo que vaya a menú de pausa. Vale.
Now that you've covered some of the basics of moving around and interacting with the environment, let's take a walk through the building and find the trains.
Vale, me está diciendo que me levante, vaya hacia aquí, vaya hacia allí. Vale, ahora salimos a la zona de trenes. ¡Apriete! ¡Yepa! ¡Sí! ¡Chico! ¿Ahora qué? Ahora, macho. Vale. Aquí tenemos las distintas locomotoras.
Explore the main training center depot and surrounding yards. Your journey operating trains is just getting started here at the training center. Remember, you can always come back here from the main menu to refresh your knowledge if you're unsure about anything.
Vale, pues este terminado, vamos a por el siguiente.
In this training module, you'll learn about the on-screen overlay known as the heads-up display, or HUD. You'll see it when you're in control of a train. You can configure a range of parameters for the HUD that affect how it looks in the game settings. In this tutorial, you're going to take a look at the two main types of HUD and make a first choice of which one you prefer.
Vale, comiencen para subir la escalera para entrar al tren y ocupe el asiento de maquinista. Vale. Pues... con permiso de aquí de...
Welcome to the most important seat in the train. Before you can start learning how to make the train move, you're going to need to understand what the HUD is telling you. There are three types of HUD. The one you're seeing now is the normal HUD. You'll learn that first, and then take a look at the minimal HUD next. There is also a simple HUD, which is essentially a cut-down version of the normal HUD. The HUD is a guide to show you what the train is doing, how you're doing, and what your next objectives are. You can tune what's shown here using the game settings. The main part of the normal HUD is the speed display in the bottom right. Your current speed is indicated by a white bar that will appear on the outside of the speedometer, and there is a red mark that indicates the maximum permitted speed. This is the direction display. An arrow will indicate the forward, reverse, and neutral directions. A cross, or X, means the reverser is currently either not inserted or in the off position. This is the power display. A number will indicate what position the power or throttle control is in. If the display is white, it refers to power. If the display is yellow, it means powered braking or dynamic braking. If the display is red, then the throttle is currently locked out and you will need to take steps to release the lock before power can be applied. You can learn about troubleshooting elsewhere in Training Center.
Vale.
These are the brake indicators. The exact one shown will vary by train and will often be visible in the train itself on the various gauges. These gauges tell you what is happening in the braking system. The most important one is the BC, or brake cylinder. In most trains, when this reads 0, that means the brakes are released. Anything else, and the brakes are applied. In the top right is the track monitor. This shows you the line ahead and allows you to see all the signals and speed limit changes that you're approaching. By default, the track monitor shows the signals with their actual red, yellow, or green aspect. But when you get more confident, you can hide this information via an option in the game settings. As you accelerate, the track monitor will extend its look-ahead distance so you can see much further ahead at higher speeds. This is all done automatically. Now that you're familiar with the normal HUD, it's time to take a look at the minimal HUD. You can change this via the game settings, but for this tutorial the game will change it automatically. You can see that most of the HUD is now gone. You are left with basic information in the top left corner.
Chicos, un momento, ahora vengo. Bueno, chicos, ya estoy por aquí. Vamos a seguir con esto. Juego mínimo.
The minimal HUD
Venga,
immerses you in the
sigamos.
experience of driving the train. Use the train's real gauges as much as possible.
Vamos a seguir
In the top
escuchando
left
esto.
corner, you will see the information about your next objective and some limited information about what the train's doing, such as your current speed, the speed limit, and the gradient. Use the game settings to add and remove information from the minimal HUD.
Que te había llamado Roca mi deletei?
You'll find driving more
Jeje.
challenging, but also more immersive and rewarding. Experienced
Sí.
players might prefer the minimal HUD, especially when driving from the cab view. The
¿Quién es
normal HUD
Roca?
is ideal for newcomers or anyone who wants to drive from an external camera. You can switch HUDs in game settings. Do you want to start with the normal HUD or minimal HUD?
Vamos a ver. Utilice los botones para seleccionar qué tipo de HUD desea
Ja, 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 ja.
usar durante el juego. Normal, recomendado para nuevos jugadores. Este módulo presenta la
Face green
versión
smiling,
completa del
face
HUD,
green smiling, face green
mostrando
smiling,
elementos
face
como la
green
velocidad de
smiling.
dirección y los frenos. Mínimo, recomendado para jugadores más experimentados. No, normal.
That concludes.
Face green smiling, face green smiling, face green smiling, face green smiling.
Sí,
face green
cantinflas.
smiling,
Me ha llamado
face green
cantinflas.
smiling, face turquoise
Vale,
cove.
esto ya ha terminado. Vale, siguiente. Ahora el manejo. Verás tú. Qué risa.
In this training module, you're
Vale,
going to
vamos a
learn
ver.
how to
Vamos a
make a train
aprender
move
el
and then
movimiento,
bring it to a
señores.
stop.
Vamos a aprender
For this
aquí
exercise,
cositas.
you'll be using a British Class 323 electric multiple unit. It's a great train to get started with as the controls are quite straightforward. This module will get you used to the feel of the train and its controls. While many trains have different controls and are operated in different ways, there are basically always three controls that are common and are required to move the train. The reverser chooses the direction you're going to move in. It often has four positions: off, forward, neutral, and reverse. The brakes are used to slow or stop the train. There are potentially multiple braking systems you can find in different trains, and you can read more about that in other sections of the training center. For now, the Class 323 has a very simple braking system. The throttle controls how fast the train accelerates. In this train, the throttle and brakes are controlled by a combined power and brake handle. Moving the handle in one direction will apply power. The middle position is neutral and does nothing.
Habrá que
And
arrancarlo,
then the
¿no?
other range applies the brakes. You will find in
En
some
otros
other
trenes
trains that the
verá
throttle
que el
and brakes
regulador
are
de
on
frenos se
separate
encuentra en
handles.
en mandos diferentes. Vale,
Before you go any
comencemos,
further, set
chicos.
the headlights for daytime running
Las
and ensure the
luces.
tail lights are off.
Vale. Vale.
We want to move the train forwards, so set the reverser to the forwards position.
Vale.
Now pull the combined power and brake handle towards you to release the brakes and apply power. In the bottom right and in the center of the speedometer gauge, you can see a little ball. This is the accelerometer and will move up or down to indicate whether
Venga,
you're
señores,
speeding
que nos
up
vamos
or
de
slowing
paseo.
down.
Espera que te alcance los 30. Vale. Venga, que nos vamos. Venga, que nos vamos. Vamos en primera. El Cantinflas. Joder, como bota, ¿no?
Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control.
Face blue smiling, face red droopy eyes, face purple crying, text bring game over, person turquoise waving, face green smiling, face FUECHSI.
Madre mía. Me rayas con eso, ¿eh? No digo nada. Vale. A la vez de tener en el tren, las veces de cada tren puede ser bastante distintas, pero el proceso es fundamental. Mueve y frena a la zona frenado. Espere que el tren se detenga. ¡Vamos ahí! ¡Ah, toma por saco! ¡Ah, toma por culo!
Jajajaja.
¡Ah, toma por culo el tren!
Card red penalty, Card red penalty. Card red penalty.
Pero, señores, voy a repetirlo.
Card red penalty.
Repetimos. Repetimos. El VAR.
Do de FIBE.
El VAR.
Card red penalty. Card red penalty. Card red penalty.
Repetimos. El VAR.
Card red penalty. Card red penalty.
Aquí entra el VAR.
Jerque tortazo. Jajaja.
In this training module, you're going to learn how to make a train move and then bring it to a stop. For this exercise, you'll be using a British Class 323 electric multiple unit. It's a great train to get started.
Bueno, aquí entra el VAR, en la pantallita del VAR.
Will get you used to the feel of the train and its controls.
No es penalti.
While many trains have different controls and are operated in different ways, there are basically always 3 controls that are common and are required to move the train. The reverser chooses the direction you're going to move in. It often has 4 positions: off, forward, neutral, and reverse. The brakes are used to slow or stop the train. There are potentially multiple braking systems.
Pero lo repetimos,
and you can read more about that.
Que no me da cuenta de frenar a lo bestia.
For now, the Class 323 has a very simple braking system. The throttle controls how fast the train accelerates. In this train, the throttle and brakes are controlled by a combined power and brake handle. Moving the handle in one direction will apply power. The middle position is neutral and does nothing, and then the other range applies the brakes.
Lo repetimos.
You will find in some other trains that the throttle and brakes are on separate handles. Before you go any further, set the headlights for daytime running and ensure the tail lights are off.
Whistler red blow. Person turquoise crowd surf. Finge red numberone. Text yellow goal. Medal yellow first red. Person blue el chai race.
Now pull the combined power and brake handle towards you to release the brakes and apply power. In the bottom right and in the center of the speedometer gauge, you can see a little ball.
Pero ¿cómo coño se frena esto, por Dios?
Move up or down to indicate whether you're speeding up or slowing down.
Ay, señor. Yo no pensaba que me iba a chocar. Qué desgracia soy. Seguro que os estáis riendo, cabrones. Hay un par de cachondos. Bueno, sigamos con el directo y a ser serios.
Prueba R2 y R1 para frenar, haz la prueba.
Ah, vale.
Now that you've reached your target speed,
No me deja. Ah, sí, vale.
when it comes to stopping trains, the specifics of each train can be quite different. However, the basic process is fundamentally the same. Bring this train to a complete stop by moving the power brake handle into the braking.
Ahora.
The amount of braking you will need to apply also varies depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill and how heavy your train is. Knowing the right amount to apply will come with practice and experience. Stopping a train is one of the biggest challenges of controlling it, particularly stopping it in the right place. That concludes
Ay,
this
señor.
module. If you wish to
Esto se merece
replay
un
it, you
aplauso
can come
por
back to it at any time via the training center.
esto se merece un aplauso. Por a... Vaya. Ay, señor. Ay, qué risa ya solo.
In this training module, you'll be learning basic passenger operations in this Class 323 electric multiple unit. This part of the training center is the metro loop. It is used primarily for
Vale, ahora con los
training for
viajeros.
passenger trains that are generally shorter or might stop more frequently in normal operating
Ahora vamos al
practice.
tema de los
It
viajeros.
consists of 2 platforms. In this module, we'll be doing a complete circuit and practicing stopping at both stations. When you're ready, open the door and climb aboard the train.
Coño.
Take a seat in the driver's position. Always remember to close the driver's door once you get in the cab. Some trains will prevent the brakes from releasing if any doors, including the driver's door, are still open. To unlock the control desk, insert the master key and activate it. Turn the coach lighting on so that passengers aren't boarding a dark train. To allow passengers to board the train, you will need to open the correct doors. In order to use the buttons in the cab, you must first insert and then turn the door key to the on position.
Vale.
As the platform is on your left, press the open doors left button. The weather has turned quite bad, so you'll need to turn the wipers on. The cab light is currently on. Make sure to turn it off. It's useful to find your way around in the cab, but can make it hard to see out of the window, so you should always turn it off before you start moving. Headlights in the UK are used to allow others to see the train rather than being of great use to the driver seeing out. Set the headlights for daytime running and ensure the tail lights are off.
Vale.
While the passenger doors are open and the loading objective completes, you'll notice the bar in the top left slowly rising. Once it reaches the top, the objective will complete and it will be time to close the doors. Now the passengers have boarded the train, close and lock the doors using the Close Left Doors button. Set the reverser to forward.
Para que veáis cómo es el tren.
Apply some power to get moving.
Esto se mueve. Venga, señores, que esto se mueve.
You're approaching the next station. Use the power brake handle to apply power so that you come to a gentle stop at the indicated marker on the platform.
Me he pasado. Me he pasado. A ver cómo es para atrás.
Tiene escudar al inversor, palanca de la izquierda.
Este.
Clic dado. Sí.
Coño. Me he pasado. Muchas gracias, Trulo. Vale. Muchísimas gracias, Nacimiento TV Gamer, por el like. Y bienvenido. La que dio pollito.
That concludes this module.
Con esto
If you wish to
concluye
replay
este
it, you can
módulo.
come
Si
back to
quieres
it at any
hacerlo,
time
puedes
via the
regresar
training
a él en
center.
cualquier momento. Vale. Pues chicos, perdonad por el retraso, pero ahí me he liado un poquito. Pues vamos a por el siguiente. Vamos a por el siguiente. Vaya tela. Vale, esto es de los controles de la cámara.
In this training module, you'll be learning about the various camera controls and how to get the best views. You can drive from in the cab or an exterior camera. Exterior views are particularly useful for coupling and uncoupling. Currently, you're in the cab of this Class 323 EMU with the same view a real driver would have. Before experimenting with camera views, set the train up correctly as if ready for departure.
Entra la llave principal, ¿vale? Aquí. Coloque.
We will now explore the camera controls.
Ahora haremos los controles de cámara. Usa los controles indicados para cambiar.
When using a controller, you simply use the same control again to toggle back into the cab. Do that now. Now that you're used to
Ahora
interior
ya llegamos al
and
interior y el exterior,
switch
cambio
back to the
otra vez
exterior view
a la
again to
vista
learn more about
exterior
it.
para aprender más sobre ella. Vale.
From the exterior, you can move the camera around. Use the controls indicated to move and turn the camera. Spend a minute just practicing moving and turning the camera. You can zoom in and out using the indicated control. Try it now. While in an external camera, you can also interact with some elements such as junctions. You'll be learning about junctions properly in a different training module, but for now, fly over to the indicated junction and change it by interacting with it using the controls indicated. There's a lot more to learn about cameras, including numerous other camera modes. You can find out more in other areas of the training center. That concludes this module.
Vale, con esto
If you
concluye
wish to
este
replay it,
módulo.
you can come back to it at any time via the training center.
Bueno, ahora viene otro. Chicos, rezar que no me choque otra vez. Rezar que no me choque otra vez.
In this module, you'll combine everything you learned from the moving a train, passenger operations, and camera controls modules, but from outside the train. Now you'll have the freedom to enjoy external cameras while driving the train. Before you go any further, get the lighting all set up correctly.
Vale. Configura las luces de faros. Vale. Aquí.
In most trains, you'll find
Vale,
functions
meto la
such as the
llave.
master key are linked to the reverser when using a controller. If you find a train where the master key does not set automatically on the controller, pop back into the cab to do it and then switch back to the exterior view again. Next, use the indicated control to set the reverser to forwards. Just as with other modules, you're currently sitting in a Class 323 multiple unit. You must now switch to the exterior camera. If you need a reminder on how to do this, head over to the camera controls module first and have a quick refresher. Aside from the magnificent views, exterior camera views can make it easier to complete tasks such as coupling, checking your lights, and changing junctions. Only a small number of the most common functions are usable for an exterior camera. If you find you need to do something that isn't available, simply switch to the internal camera to do it, and then switch back. Finally, use the indicated controls to apply some power. One will apply and one will take it away or apply the brakes. Experiment with them a little.
Venga, que nos vamos. Venga, chavales, que nos vamos otra vez de paseo.
Now that you've moved down the track, it's time to bring the train to a stop. Use the controls indicated to... Try restarting this tutorial and running it a few times until you're comfortable with driving from the outside, including moving the camera around. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center.
Vale, chicos. Lo voy a repetir otra vez para quedarme con la copla.
In this module, you'll combine everything you learned.
Saludos Miguelete, venga ya que llego tarde canijos.
Camera controls modules, but from outside the train. Now you'll have the freedom to enjoy external cameras while driving the train.
Pues si llegas tarde...
Before you go any further, get the lighting all set up correctly. In most trains, you'll find functions such as the master key are linked. If you find a train where the master key does not set automatically on the controller, pop back into the cab to do it and then switch back to the exterior view again. Next, use the indicated control to set the reverser to forwards. Just as with other modules, you're currently sitting in a Class 323 multiple unit. You must now switch to the exterior camera. If you need a reminder on how to do this, head over to the camera controls module first and have a quick refresher.
Hola Miguelete, ¿cómo llevas ese tren en horizontal o vertical?
Hombre, Ramón, muy buenas tardes. Pues lo llevo muy bien, ¿sabes? La verdad.
Aside from the magnificent views, exterior camera views can make it easier to complete tasks such as coupling, checking your lights, and changing junctions. Only a small number of the most common functions are usable for an exterior camera. If you find you need to do something that isn't available, simply switch to the internal camera to do it, and then switch back. Finally, use the indicated controls to apply some power. One will apply.
Esto se mueve.
Ten cuidado con las curvas, que el tren derrapa jajaja.
Sí, ¿no? Menuda vistas, chachos. Menuda vistas, chiques.
Ten cuidado con las ruedas C se pinchan tú lleva repuesto, C yo sé C tú eres un hombre precavido.
Hombre. Hostia, ¿cómo se hacía esto? Bah, no me acuerdo cómo se hacía esto.
Now that you've moved down the track, it's time to bring the train to a stop. Use the controls indicated to adjust the power brake handle to apply some brakes. Try restarting this tutorial and running it a few times until you're comfortable with driving from the outside.
Yo creo que este tutorial me ha quedado clarísimo.
That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at
Bastante
any time via the
clarísimo.
training center.
Pues chicos, vamos a por el siguiente. Vamos a por el siguiente. Vale, ahora cambiando de cabina. ¡Buf! Vale.
In this training module, you'll be learning how to shut down a cab and change ends of the train so that you can drive in the other direction. You'll bring this unit back to central square sidings. You'll need to change ends a couple of times. Don't worry about how the train is going to get there though, all the paths are going to be set for you. You just need to change ends and then drive when you're given instruction to do so. Get started by setting this
Comienza
cab up for
habilitando esta
operation.
cabina para la operación. Venga.
Activate the master key first to
Metemos la
unlock the
llave,
control desk.
señores. Metemos la llave. Por aquí. Metía.
Set the
Encendemos
headlights
las
for daytime
lucecitas.
operation and ensure
Bueno,
the
en
tail
este
lights are
caso,
off.
sí. ¿Vale? Desconectamos.
Set the reverser to forwards,
Metemos
as that's the direction you'll be going.
la marcha.
The first move brings the train forwards to the junction around the corner from here, and you'll be stopping once the rear of the train has cleared it. Apply some power and drive forward a bit so that we can prove that this cab is working and the train moves as expected.
Esto se mueve. Venga, chavales, y animarse. Que esos likes. A este gran simulador. Venga, chavales. Eso ayuda muchísimo. Vale, ahora me dice...
That's far enough. Bring the train to a stop by applying some brake using the power brake handle.
Vale, ahora que se necesita apagar la cabina. Pues venga, apagamos la cabina.
And ensure the tail lights are on. set the reverser to off. Remove the master key.
Quitamos la
This cab is
llavecita.
now shut down. Walk over to the other end of the train, ensuring to
Vale,
close
pues.
any doors behind you.
Bajamos por aquí. Cerramos esta cabina. Y nos vamos a la otra.
Sit in the driver's seat.
Abrimos la ventanilla. Que hace calor.
Follow the steps indicated to activate this cab, repeating the procedure that you did when you set up the previous cab.
Vale. Metemos la llave. Vale. Vale. Vale.
Now that the cab is active, wait for the yard controller to give us permission to proceed forward once they've checked and blocked all the junctions for us. You're good to go. Apply some power and get moving. Your next destination is going to take you to the left and into the switch lines west of the training center.
Adiós, Cantinflas. Adiós, Cantinflas. Oh, 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 oh. Lo estaréis pasando bien, colegas.
Follow the steps indicated to deactivate this cab.
Vale, ahora tengo que ir a la otra cabina. Espérate, que me dejo la ventana esta. Venga, vamos otra vez para allá. Chicos, si me entretengo mucho en hacer las cosas es para enseñaros en los módulos. ¿Vale? Para que vosotros también aprendáis un poco cómo va el juego.
Now that the cab is active, wait for the yard controller to give us permission to proceed forward once they've checked and locked all the junctions for us.
Hay que esperar a que el jefe nos actualice.
You're good to go.
Vale.
Apply some power and get moving. Your final destination is going to take you.
Pues nos vamos. Mis chiques. Nos vamos.
Before you finish, take a moment to review. When changing cabs on almost any train, there are some common things to double check before you depart the cab you're finished with. What position have you left the throttle and brake controls in? What position is the reverser in? Are the headlights and taillights set up correctly for what will become the rear of the train? Are all doors closed? Once you get used to each train you operate, you'll quickly begin to remember what each one needs and get used to the elements that are common between different trains. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center.
Vale, pues vamos a hacer el siguiente. La navegación del ferrocarril.
In this training module, you'll be learning about the live 2D map and how it can help you understand where you are, where your objective is, and how you can change the path of the train to get to the right place. Under normal circumstances, the driver has little, if anything, to do with where a train is going. It's all handled centrally by a signaling center or dispatcher. Within yards and depots, however, you will find that these are often managed by the crew of the train directly. That means you. You can tell whether a junction is manual or automatic by looking at it. If it has no big lever, then it's automatic and you can't influence it. If it does, then interacting with that lever will change the junction. For this module, you'll take this class 323 from the siding here next to the main loops and set all the junctions yourself to direct the train to the switch lines, and then change ends and repeat the process to bring the train into the depot. Your destination has been set over in the switch lines on the far west of the training center. Use the map to follow the path from the train to the destination and change all the junctions you need to get there. If you make a mistake and go the wrong way, you can go back and try to correct it. If you're not ready for that, just restart the module and try again.
Bueno, vámonos. cada vez que hay juntas de vías, el tren bota.
You've made it to the first destination. Go ahead and change ends in the train, and you can try one more time for practice.
Bueno, vamos a hacerlo al revés, chicos.
Once again, use the map to adjust the junctions between your train and the destination. Where the black lines on the 2D map aren't aligned with the blue path, change the junction. When you're ready, get moving.
A ver si me paso por mirar otra cosa.
That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center.
Bueno, pues ya está. Ay, mierda. Me salió. Creo que voy por aquí.
In this training module, you're going to learn to drive a diesel-electric locomotive and how the controls differ from a multiple unit. This is a BR Class 66 diesel-electric locomotive, typically used for freight operations in the United Kingdom. In some trains, it is first necessary to insert the reverser handle. We need to do that on this one. We want to move the train forwards, so move the reverser in that direction. The train brake on the Class 66 uses a sprung lever. Holding it one way will gradually release the brakes until you release the lever. Holding it the other will gradually apply the brakes. You need to keep an eye on the two brake gauges in front of you. The larger one in the middle is the brake pipe. The outside needle shows the target pressure and the inside needle shows the actual pressure. When you apply or release the brakes, the outer needle moves and the onboard control systems will begin to adjust the brakes to match your setting. You can make a change to the brakes and focus on the road ahead while the system works to match the pressure you've set. The second gauge of note is the brake cylinder gauge, which is the second from the left. This tells you exactly what is happening with the brakes on the two sets of wheels on the locomotive. If the needles are raised to a V shape, that means they are fully applied. When the needles are both pointing directly down, the brakes on the locomotive will be fully released. You can learn more about braking systems elsewhere in the training center. But for now, you just need to remember that you are directly controlling the outer needle on the brake pipe gauge and that the end result is shown on the brake cylinder gauge. Keep the brake control in release until you can see the brake pipe control needle is reading 5 bar, pointing upwards. This will release the brakes fully. Watch the brake cylinder gauge to see it gradually reduce to 0.0. Needles pointing downwards, which tells you that the brakes are now fully released on the locomotive and you can move the train. It's important to note that the brake cylinder gauge is only telling you what's happening on your locomotive. If you have wagons attached, they can take a little longer to release, so if the train doesn't move immediately, don't worry. Apply some throttle to get the train moving. As you apply power, notice the ammeter rising, the gauge on the right-hand side with the colored sections. This is the amount of power being fed into the traction motors. Try to keep it in the green section, only briefly in the yellow, and avoid the red section to avoid damaging your traction motors. Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to 0. The train will then coast on level ground, and the train will only slow down very gradually. That's far enough. Bring this train to a complete stop by holding the brake control in the apply state until you see the brake pipe control needle in the center of your cab desk showing about 4 bar. The amount of braking you'll need to apply also varies depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill and how heavy your train is. Stopping a train is one of the biggest challenges of controlling it, particularly stopping it in the right place. You'll get better at this with practice. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning about changing ends with a locomotive. Many types of locomotives have two cabs in order to make them as versatile as possible. While the cabs are often virtually identical, they are often referred to as either the A and B ends, number 1 or 2 end, or simply their front and back. Usually the designation of the cab is written somewhere in the cab. In the case of the Class 66, it's above the window on the right-hand side. In this case, you can see you're in the number 1 cab. All the junctions will be set for you in this module. You'll just be focusing on the locomotive. First, get the train moving forwards and drive over to the indicated stop marker and come to a stop in the platform somewhere. Okay, let's change ends. The basic process is always the same. Shut down the cab you're in and set up a new cab. Each cab has slightly different requirements to shut it down and set it up, however. Start by setting the reverser back to neutral. Now remove the reverser. Removing the reverser has automatically applied the brakes on the locomotive, so you don't need to worry about what happens when you change ends or what position to leave the train brake in. On this locomotive and on some others, you also need to make sure to put the locomotive brake in the release position when you're ready to switch cabs. If you don't, the controls in the other cab won't be able to release the brake. Before you move to the other cab, set the tail lights on and turn the headlights off. If you've used cab light or desk lights, turn those off too. Head to the other cab. You'll need to leave the train and get back on board at the other end. While some trains allow you to walk from cab to cab internally, it's often hot and uncomfortable. Notice that this end shows that you're in cab number 2 with the writing above the right-hand window. Get the cab set up as per normal and then pull forward to the marker in the other siding and come to a stop anywhere in there. Don't worry about junctions, they've all been set for you. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this trading module, you'll move some mineral wagons to a new location and learn how to couple and uncouple the wagons to your locomotive. All junctions are going to be changed automatically for you in this tutorial, so you can focus on driving. The mineral wagons are located ahead of us. Start by putting gently forwards until you touch the wagons and stop. This will take some practice as it requires a lot more fine control. You'll find the locomotive brake is easier and more responsive. Take your time. If you hit the wagons too hard, they might come off the track, so try to be gentle and aim for 2 miles per hour or under as you touch them. You may also prefer the external camera to give more visibility, particularly as you get close to the wagons. In this training module, you'll be learning about vehicles called control cars or cab cars. In the UK, they're often called driving van trailer or DVT cars, and you will likely come across other names for them too. The name cab car will be used for the rest of this module to keep it simple. Cab cars are essentially a passenger coach with a driving cab in them, but most importantly, they have no means of propulsion themselves. There are no engines or motors, so they can't move under their own power. The way that a cab car works is it will remotely control a locomotive at the other end of the train, and this is where it's important to understand their behaviour as being a little different to the cab experience of the locomotive itself. There may be a little lag in control response, and you may not quite have the same instrument outputs as you do in the locomotive itself. For this module, you'll be taking this German Doppelstock cab car, which has a BR146.2 locomotive at the other end, setting it up and then driving it forwards to a marker at the other end of the yard area. Revisit this module a couple of times to try different things out and get familiar with the subtle difference when driving from the cab car. One of the biggest and most obvious differences when driving from the cab car is that there's a lot less sound. Since all the motors and fans are at the other end of the train, it can be a little disconcerting at first. Engage the brake system by turning this key. Put the reverser in forwards. Turn on the headlights and set the signal light switch to headlights. Most German trains have these two controls. Ensure the doors are closed. Release the brakes and apply some power to get moving. It feels a little odd at first. All the audio cues you're used to in the cab aren't present here, so you just need to give the locomotive time to react to your commands. Experiment with some power and some brakes and see how the train reacts. You may find some sharp jolts happening because of how the slack is being bunched up or stretched out by the loco at the back. You can minimize this by making your first power brake applications lighter and then increasing them. You'll get used to this with practice and experience. Cut the...
Buenas tardes, Miguelete. Paso a saludar y dejar mi pulgar hacia arriba.
This is far enough. Bring the train to a stop now by applying the train brake. This is just a brief introduction to cab cars. The changing ends for cab cars training module goes into more depth about both the cab car and the BR146.2 locomotive on the other end of the train. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll practice going between the BR146.2 locomotive at one end of the train and the cab car at the other. All the junctions are being taken care of for you by another team member, allowing you to focus on driving. You're starting here in a siding near the main loop. Get started by climbing in. Insert the reverser handle and set the reverser to forward. Set the headlights to bright, and on the back wall set the signal lights to headlights. Release the brakes and apply power to get moving towards the marker.
Störung. Störung.
Stop anywhere here by applying the brakes.
Störung. Störung.
It's time to get the locomotive cab shut down. Move the train brake handle to the full service position.
Störung.
Set the reverser to off and remove the reverser handle. That will deactivate the cab. On the back wall, change the signal lights to tail lights so that the locomotive shows red lights now that it's at the rear of the train. With the cab shut down, you can move to the other end of the train. Exit the cab and walk along the side of the train to the cab car. Don't forget to close the door before you leave. Open a passenger door on the cab car to get in and make your way to the cab and sit in the driver's seat. You now need to get this cab set up. Start by turning the brake key to activate the brakes. Insert the reverser handle and set the reverser to forward. Set the headlights to high beams, and on the back wall set the signal lights to headlights. Check if there are any doors open, and if so, close them. You're good to go. Release the brakes, apply the power, and take the train out. You're headed out onto the main line and will be stopping at the main station on the loop. In this training module, you will learn how to refill this stone-ator locomotive with water and coal. In this steam locomotive, the water and coal needed for operation are stored behind the cab in what's known as a tender. Firstly, you'll need to prepare the locomotive to receive water. Now the hose is in position, climb up the tender and open the water hatch. Insert the hose into the tender tank once the water hatch is open. Great. The hose is in and the tender tank is ready to be filled. Climb down the ladder and turn on the water to start filling the tender tank. The tender tank is now full. Turn off the water and bring the hose. Okay, now you need to fill the tender with coal. Move the train so that the tender is underneath the coal tower. As soon as your tender is suitably positioned, it will automatically begin refilling. In this training module, you will learn how to refill this Stone Aether locomotive with water and coal. In this steam locomotive, the water and coal needed for operation are stored behind the cab in what's known as a tender. Firstly, you'll need to prepare the locomotive. Now the hose is in position, climb up the tender and open the water hatch. Great. The hose is in and the tender tank is ready to be filled. Climb down the ladder and turn on the water to start filling the tender tank. The tender tank is now full. Turn off the water and bring the hose back to the water crane before... Okay, now you need to fill the tender with coal. Move the train so that the tender is underneath the coal tower. As soon as your tender is suitably positioned, it will automatically begin refilling. You've got this locomotive fully fueled and ready for service. Great work. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training centre.
Mm-hmm.